One evening in the early days of pandemic, I sat next to my 4-year-old daughter while she floated in our huge bathtub with her hair drifting all around her face. Suddenly, she sat up with water streaming down her back and asked me, "Mom, what happens to us after we die?" I took a deep breath. I didn't want to mess this up. I had been preparing for this moment for many years. Ever since I was a child, asking the same questions of the grown-ups in my life. When I asked that big question of my Sunday school teachers at my Unitarian Universalist church, they usually answered, "What do you think?" I am still grateful for the trust that children too could answer big questions and their grasp of mystery. But I wanted something different. I needed an image for my imagination to hold on to, and when I didn't receive one, I colored in a reductive, empty nothingness in my mind. So I decided years ago that I would find a beautiful and abundant image to give to my own children. No one knows for sure, I told her, but I believe we go back to where we were before we were born. I took a breath to continue, and she smiled. "Oh, it must be like floating in the bath." She slipped back down into the water, and I shouted celebrations in my heart that she had come up with such a lovely and comfortable image all on her own. I confess that even as an adult, I struggled to shake the dark emptiness that my imagination had built. It was a future I dreaded somewhat for myself and my loved ones, a nothingness that was eternally separate and eternally alone. I don't know where that image came from. I thought of it as scientifically sound, but it wasn't really. The truth is that it is far more accurate to say that we come from everything and will return to everything when this life is done. It is far more accurate to say that the atoms of us are held together for a time, separate from all that is, but will eventually be released once more into communion with everything. The truth is that we are all in for a cosmic reunion with everything that dances and spins in the universe. The truth is that we were never and will never be alone, but always entirely and infinitely interwoven with everything living and dead, a great big tangled party of quarks and photons and wave functions that cannot be pulled apart. My favorite poem for this season is All Souls by May Sarton. I sent it to our email list on All Souls Day earlier this week. In it, she writes that what has been plated cannot be unplated. I read this aloud to a friend, and they had a vision of a restaurant and plating. And I said, no, it's plated with an I. What has been braided cannot be unbraided. This is the deepest balm of science and poetry for my searching heart. That what has been braided down to the quantum level cannot be unbraided. That our beloved ones are known now and always by the radiance of stars, and cradled in the roots of trees, and hidden among all that is, and cannot be lost. At some point, I shared with my spiritual director that I didn't believe in the nothingness, but I was finding the image hard to shake from some deep part of my brain. Write yourself a new one, she told me, and so I did. Here it is, in the form of what I hope will one day be published as a picture book for generations of children seeking hope and wonder to meet some of the biggest questions of their hearts. One day, a thoughtful child came to lie down on the ground, to stare up at the stars above and see what might be found. She asked the wisest one she knew beside her on the earth to tell her what they could about the truths of death and birth. I wonder where we were before, and also what comes next. I know it's all a mystery, but can't you take a guess? The wise one looked up at the moon and kissed the child's head and thought a while on where to start. And this is what they said. Inside a single blade of grass, a drop of shining dew, in gleaming wings of butterflies, in stars, in me and you, are tiny things called particles that bounce and twist and spin. They dance together for a while, then move apart again. These subatomic particles are tiny, teensy, small. They're little bits of energy. You can't see them at all. They dance from life to life and move from rock to star to tree. They spin and bounce in everything. They're wild and small and free. One day, some leaping particles made something sparkly new. They joined in joy and hope and love. Together they made you. You could be made of silver moon or lion's fearsome roar. Your heart is made of particles that thump and bump and soar. The tiny parts that make you up, your skin and insides too, were once a part of everything. And now it's all in you. While we're alive, these parts will stay together snug and tight. They'll keep us dancing as ourselves each day and through the night. And later, when the dance is done, we come to our last day, and all the parts that made us up will float and spin away. When people die and flowers fade, returning to the earth, we'll be a part of everything, just like before our birth. Some parts of us may hug the earth. Some parts may reach the sky. Some parts may fly with hummingbirds or breathe in loved ones' sighs. So while we're here, we lie in grass and marvel at the dew. We stroke the wings of butterflies and gaze up skyward too. We dance together with the clouds, the flowers, and the sea. We cuddle with the ones we love and hug the big oak tree. And when we lie down on the earth and stare up at the stars, we know we're seeing all the things we were, will be, and are. This world is changing all the time, from grass to star to you. But nothing here is ever lost. The dancing sees us through. Dear ones, in this season of remembrance, may you find your loved ones' presence among all that is. May you recognize them in the grass and the stars and the big oak tree and every movement of your own life. May the knowledge of their lives forever entangled with yours dance in your heart, in radiances, in memory, and in love.